The Great Prostitute, featured in the book of Revelation, is one of the most confounding characters in all of Scripture. She appears near the end of the book, in chapter 17, and is seen riding on a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. She is drunk on the blood of the saints, the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and continues to consume the cup of her own impurities and immorality. What's more, on her forehead is written a name: Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of earth's abominations. This sounds crazy, right? As crazy as it sounds, what if I were to tell you that this figure, the Great Prostitute, had a very specific meaning for the people to whom the book of Revelation was originally written, and that by understanding who this symbol represented to them, we can also uncover how the message of Revelation chapters 17 and 18 applies to us today. In this video, we will explain in detail the meaning behind 3 of the most important symbols in the book of Revelation: the Great Prostitute, the beast with 7 heads, and last but not least, Mystery Babylon. By doing so, we hope to help believers living today to uncover one of the most important messages that can be found in the book of Revelation. The Great Prostitute in the book of Revelation has many attributes. She is clothed in very expensive, costly clothing. She's adorned with jewels, gold, and pearls. She drinks from a golden cup, which is said to contain abominations and impurities. She is also, as mentioned before, seated on a scarlet beast. This should remind readers of the same beast that can be found all the way back in Revelation 13. The beast on which she is riding has 7 heads, which are also said to be 7 kings and 7 mountains. The harlot and the beast, together, we are told, are seated on many waters. The question we must ask ourselves is this: what would first century Christians living in Asia Minor, the people to whom the book of Revelation was originally written, what would they have thought about the great harlot? Who would they have seen behind this stark yet very sobering symbol? Care to take a guess? There can be no doubt that the woman in this story, to the first century reader, would have represented the Roman Empire. Please allow me to explain. During the first 2 centuries of Christian history, the Roman Empire was a brutal and ruthless persecutor of the church. The emperors of Rome literally intoxicated themselves on the blood of Christian martyrs. The capital of the empire, the city of Rome, was referred to as the City on 7 Hills. And it was from this capital city that Rome wielded its total and complete authority over the empire. What do we make of the fact that the woman and the beast are seated on many waters? We're told later on in the chapter exactly what this represents. Revelation 17:15. The waters that you saw where the prostitute is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages. In other words, these creatures are seated upon the peoples and nations of the world. Their influence encompasses nearly every tribe, nation, and group in the known world. So, who is the beast that the great prostitute is seated on? As in chapter 13, the beast is clearly a symbol of the Antichrist. the same individual who we also met all the way back in Revelation chapter 6. There he came as the rider on a white horse, but not the same rider who comes at the end of the book, the conquering King Jesus. Rather, this rider came as the one who attempts to counterfeit the dominion and power of Jesus. Later on, in chapters 17 and 18, the two main chapters that we're discussing today, the great prostitute is thrown down by the beast and his minions, meaning that she is no longer allowed to rule the world via her captivating temptations and offerings of sin, immorality, and idolatry. The only thing worse than an evil empire is an evil empire that falls under the rule of a single dictator. This is the picture we see in Revelation 18 when the great harlot is thrown down by her former ally, the beast. So then, who is Mystery Babylon? That is a question many people are asking themselves today, and one of the easiest questions of all to answer from the text itself. Mystery Babylon is the great harlot. That is the name written on her forehead and the name by which she is identified in heaven's great record book. They are literally one and the same. The question is, if the great harlot and Mystery Babylon were both meant to represent the Roman Empire, does that mean that everything in Revelation 17 and 18 has already taken place? That these symbols have no relevant meaning whatsoever for Christians living today? Not by a long shot. The biggest mistake that people make when studying the book of Revelation is trying to fit its vast array of symbols and typology, really the entire book, into single categories. Some say that Revelation applies only to the past, and that all the events contained within it have already taken place. Others claim that it is only about the future, and that every symbol in this book is intended to represent something that has not yet been seen or experienced by the people of the world. Both of these exclusionary views are in error. While the symbols contained in the book of Revelation had very specific meanings for the people to whom this book was originally addressed, they also have just as much significance for the saints living today. While first century Christians living in Asia Minor would have certainly seen the great prostitute as a symbol for Rome, and the beast as a symbol for Nero or one of the other sadistic emperors, that does not mean that these symbols are limited to the past. How do these symbols apply to us? How are they being expressed in the world today? And maybe most importantly, how will they be manifest again in the future? The question you must ask yourself is this: is there a world power like the one that existed in the first century on the scene today? Are there dictators who demand absolute loyalty from their subjects? Are there nations that force their people to place the heads of state in an almost God-like category? Are there despots that force their subjects to serve and obey them with absolute fealty? By answering these questions, you will be able to see for yourself whether or not there currently exists a world power who fits the description of the prostitute that we've just outlined. But remember, if history teaches us anything, it's that it's not only nations and dictators that take on the characteristics of the prostitute and the beast. It is any leader, ruler, organization, or group, whether civil, secular, or religious, that demands our absolute loyalty. After all, what the harlot and the beast ultimately represent is the deification of secular power. That was true in the first century, and it is still true today. While these symbols will almost certainly have an end times fulfillment, while there will certainly arise an all-powerful empire and leader who will act as the full and final iteration of the harlot and the beast, we must remember that these characters have been on the world scene since the very fall of man. That is why it is so important for followers of Jesus to keep their eyes on the prize, on the one who died and rose for them. If you are a follower of Jesus, do not let the witness of your life be marked by anything outside of Him. If Revelation teaches us anything, it's that we all must choose. Who do you worship? Who do you follow? Who ultimately has your loyalty? A nation? A ruler? A government? An organization? A denomination? Or the Lamb Himself? Remember, anytime a government, group, or leader demands our absolute loyalty, they are taking on the form and manner of the beast. Likewise, anytime we offer our blind and unfettered devotion to anything or anyone other than the Lamb, we are worshiping the beast. The final question is, who will you follow? Who will you serve? While the choice might seem difficult to some, while following the beast might appeal to the fallen nature of man, there is really no choice at all. One leads to death, and the other leads to everlasting life. I hope you choose wisely.